All right, welcome back to the Atlantic Construction Podcast. Today, our guest is Trent Soholt, representing NSCSC for short, Nova Scotia Construction Sector Council. Thanks so much for being here, Trent.
Well, thanks for having me.
And how's your summer going?
It's just starting. It feels like it's just starting anyway.
Yeah, we're just talking about it's a beautiful day, and it's good to see all the people outside, but it makes parking a little hard to find downtown here, which is pretty typical.
It's amazing to see the activity downtown. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it just feels like civilization's back to normal a little bit. So, Trent, I'll let you introduce yourself and just kind of give us a little bit about your journey. I know you have a PMP designation and obviously many years in the construction industry, but maybe just tell us a little bit about how you ended up being the executive director at the Nova Scotia Construction Sector Council.
Sure. How much time do we have again? So I started off my career in project management, and I was doing that for municipal government out west. And when my wife and I relocated to Halifax, I applied for a project manager position with the Nova Scotia Construction Sector Council, who was doing a lot of research at the time. Mm-hmm. And in doing that research, studying labor market forecasts, labor market supply, where the issue is going to be, what's the demographic of the industrial, commercial, institutional sector, and then from there, started to see some opportunities around available funding, partnerships, agreements with contractors, unions, training providers, and started to go, where can we really help fill the gaps? And when people say, how do I get into construction? How do we help answer that?
Right.
If they say, what work is coming up for a contractor to prepare for workforce development?
Yeah.
How can we figure that out for you? And so we really evolved over time to say, how do we help the industry in as best of a way as possible, focusing on training and education and career awareness and what have you. But at the end of the day, we've become the help desk.
Yeah.
And to be the help desk for the contractors, for the unions, training providers, provincial government, federal government, anybody who has questions around ICI construction, give us a shout. Check out the website. Check out videos. We're doing things all the time to try to provide that support. We even opened up an office in Cape Breton recently to help provide that support for the infrastructure projects happening up in Cape Breton.
Right, for the big healthcare jobs and things like that. Yeah, I seen on your website, it was I think 500 positions that were they were projecting that there'd be 500 new positions for construction workers in the province. And
they forecast a lot of work, which is wonderful, and I think there's going to be a lot of work that comes up there. We've got some models where our researchers are able to put in the value of a project, the duration of the project, and then based on past experiences either throughout Atlantic Canada or Canada, we can then look at what's the labor breakdown going to be by trade, by occupation, apprenticeship versus journey person. What are we going to need to be successful in this space? And in doing so, we were able to forecast what these 500 or so occupations will look like, when the peaks will be, when the roll-offs will be, when all that sort of stuff. And then
and you guys transcend into other provinces, or like when it says Nova Scotia Construction Sector Council, but you obviously just talked about Cape Breton, so it's not just mainland.
No, it's not.
But you're taking data and information from all over Atlantic Canada.
Yeah, we're focused on Nova Scotia. That's our mandate, is to change how we see and how we manage construction in the province. We have partner organizations like us across the country, everywhere from BC right through to Newfoundland even. And we have organizations who we work with to learn what they're doing. They can learn what we're doing. And at the end of the day, how do we make sure that we can help contractors, those unions, those training providers, the workforce in general, new recruits, who's got a question about what a millwright is, how do we help you out? So
so that could be a youth who's thinking about getting into the trades and he has a specific interest in woodworking or millwright or whatever, and then if he goes to you guys, you'll point him in the right direction.
Absolutely. We even have on our website career paths where an individual could look at that and say, what's a reasonable salary I should expect as that millwright? What are my job prospects? Who do I talk to about this further? And then we can help direct and whatever.
Where can I take a course? Where can I get involved in apprenticeship programs? And
exactly.
So you mentioned the CANS youth apprenticeship program that they have, so you'd be strongly connected with them.
Exactly.
And other similar things like that as well.
Yeah, they have the summer co-op program called Building Futures for Youth. We have a facility called the Trades Exhibition Hall, which is, I want to say it's a one-of-a-kind career awareness facility, but it's the first of its kind because I'm going to Winnipeg in August to be a guest for the opening of the second Trades Exhibition Hall in North America in Winnipeg in August here.
So you're the first Trades Exhibition Hall in
anywhere that we could find. We kind of.
Where's it located? At your office?
At our office. Back half of the office there. We're in Regular Lake Business Park. And when we went in there in 2014, we relocated offices and we had a big warehouse. And the staff, we started thinking, what can we do with a warehouse? And the creative juices started going. We thought, okay, we can create a gallery or a library of construction drawings or tools or whatever, and it just kept evolving. And in April of 2014, we launched the Trades Exhibition Hall with no model to follow. We just kind of went with, here's some visions, here's some ideas, and we built this thing, calling on contractors and unions to help us out.
So let me say, stop right there.
Yeah.
So NSCSC is a nonprofit organization.
Yeah.
So when you go to initiate a project like that, like building and designing the Trades Exhibition Hall, is that funded by the government?
That one in particular, it was funded in part by the government and funded in part by the industry.
Right.
So the industry got together.
Because you guys have partners
everywhere.
Everywhere, whether it be in Atlantic, Canada, but like they might be GCs or
Yep.
different subcontractors that are members on the board of directors.
Yeah. Our board is a mix of labor and management
Right.
in the industry, and the focus is really to how do we build those relationships to strengthen the whole sector. And we went to the province. And it's funny, I remember going to the province with the first ask, and I had a real tough time selling the idea of a facility that youth could come to, put hard hats, glasses, work boots on, and hold tools, talk to an industry professional, and try something out. And I went back a second time and said, here's the idea still. And
that's gonna be a tough pitch, and then you're gonna go to all these other
pitch.
sector members to try and get this thing to happen and get that funding. It can't be easy.
It was pretty funny. We went around to the province, and then we went back to industry. We went back to the province, went back to the industry, and finally got the province to commit. And I'm trying to remember the exact number, but it was in the 128,000 range. It wasn't an exorbitant amount of money.
Right.
Maybe it was here, Trent, go away.
Yeah.
Stop asking for money. And we went to the board and said to our board, here's the idea. Put the drawings up on the wall. And the board said, are you sure you want to go down this path? And we thought, you know what, this is a great opportunity to differentiate ourselves, differentiate the industry, and give a hands-on experience that if a young individual hasn't gotten that at home or through school, where did they get that? And we launched it in April.
This year?
2014.
Okay.
And we launched it with the thought of doing one visit a month. We're doing non-COVID times, 2 to 3 visits a week.
So would this be like high schools, junior high schools?
All of it. And they get in buses from Yarmouth right through to Sydney, and they'll come and visit us for a day or two.
Yeah. And I've seen on your website, so that you have maybe 10 or 15 different trades, like sheet metal workers.
Yep.
What else? Like pipe fitting?
In terms of trades, there's about 35 trades in there, but 14 booths. So we've had to bundle up some trades into a couple of booths. So like pipe trades, for example, we have sprinkler fitter, gas fitter, plumber. We put all those into one sprinkler fitter. Yeah, we put those into one booth under the pipe trades umbrella. We have pipe trades, and we have insulator, sheet metal workers, and roofers, carpenters, millwrights. Non-destructive testers, boiler makers, welders, finishing trades, so drywall, painting,
masonry, cladding,
exactly, bricklaying. We got iron workers in there.
So you've got all these booths set up, so you can basically when these students come, or I guess any age, youth mostly, and they kind of just get immersed in that one trade for a day or 5 hours or a week or whatever.
It's usually up to the school, but what we have found is what was most successful and kept the young individual's attention is to give them almost like a speed dating experience.
Yeah.
You give them the glasses, the hard hats, you put them, you break them up into groups, into maybe 14 different groups depending on the group and what they're looking for. You introduce them to their trades professionals. So we're always drawing from somebody from industry to be in those booths.
So did you have to hire new staff to run this trades hall?
We put a call out to industry, and industry has a combination of volunteers to come forward for it. And they love sharing their experiences. And we have a lot of retirees who like to do that now too. So retirees will come in, and they've done this career for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And they just want to show it off. Yeah. They want to do that. And so they come in for a day, and we have a trades hall coordinator who will walk them through a safety orientation up front. They get assigned a booth to start. And somewhere between 5 minutes and 20 minutes, we say, okay, time to switch. And they go one booth to the right, and they go around doing the whole experience in one day. And they leave there, and we get a chance to do some metrics. We ask them some questions. What did you like? What did you not like about it? Did this help you identify an occupation you want to
speed
pursue?
dating is a good analogy.
Yeah, it's kind of the easiest. We have speed trades. That's what we call it, speed trades.
Yeah.
The best way we could kind of formulate that.
So basically, you're giving them the experience of being immersed in those different trades, so they can say, "Oh yeah, that is what I thought it was. Maybe I will go down that road." And it's a little bit of training too, but then it's not like they're being trained in that short amount of time, but they're feeling what it's like hands on.
Exactly, enough to go. It's for me, and I want to learn more.
Yeah.
Or enough that this is not for me, and that's okay too.
And that's amazing because really they don't get that experience anywhere else.
No.
And you're giving them like all 30 of the main. I mean 30. I say 30, but you just mentioned that
35 trades there, and project management. We have a project management booth that simulates a job site trailer. So they get a chance to meet with a project manager and talk about estimating and talk about, design and engineering and how all that works together. And
Right.
at the end of the
Well, you simulate like a job meeting.
Oh, yeah,
a site
exactly.
meeting.
That's exactly what we do.
Right.
And then they have hazard assessment books they can fill out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's trying to make it as real as possible in a safe
Yeah.
environment that doesn't impact productivity on a job site. It doesn't negatively impact the student if they don't feel comfortable. They have the ability to step out. But we,
So you say Winnipeg is designing one of these, and that'll be like you guys are the kind of the frontier.
we're the
for
first
one. Of
one. Winnipeg's launching theirs in August.
Wow.
And so that'll be the second one. So now we've had to change all of our marketing material from being a one-of-a-kind facility to the
Yeah.
first-of-its-kind facility. And I'm talking to other groups around the country as well who are looking in BC and Ontario as to could we simulate what Nova Scotia has there as well.
Yeah.
We are fortunate. The geography of our province, the accessibility of our province to one another, like we've been very fortunate where to put a facility in Ontario or Alberta or Saskatchewan, geography itself is a barrier to a lot of that experience. We don't have that same.
Yeah. Would you say with your experience with other provinces and across the country, like the demographics for people involved in the trades in Nova Scotia is higher than a lot of other provinces? Or
Yeah, I don't know.
it's a tough question to answer.
It is a
I
tough
guess.
question. Coming from Alberta, that's where I grew up, and that was sort of when I got my feet wet in construction.
Yeah.
Alberta spent a lot of time attracting people who weren't from Alberta to come and work, in the oil fields
Sure,
and what have
yeah.
you. So there was not a lot of Albertans who kind of went into those different types of occupations, but because of the level of activity, they drew from other parts of the country. I think Nova Scotia has a lot more access to their own community members, to their neighbors, to their friends, to their sister, brothers, uncles, what have you, to bring those individuals into their workplace. And I think there's a different lens in the East Coast around, blue collar work versus say
Yeah.
in Alberta, everybody aspired to be the white collar worker. Whereas I think there's a little more, or at least there was a clear divide anyways when I lived there, when I grew up there. And I think Nova Scotia's got a very different attitude to it's good pay, it's good work.
Yeah.
I can have my toys. I can go,
Sure.
have my time off. We have a fairly good size airport. We can get to anywhere we need to get to.
Yeah.
The lifestyle just it has a different flavor.
Yeah, that's really the way you articulate it there. That's definitely true. There's a different lens in the East Coast for that.
Yeah.
Those sort of blue collar positions. So NSCSC, you described it as the help desk for the construction industry. Obviously, doesn't include residential construction. It's ICI, industrial, commercial, institutional.
Everything bigger than a house, not
Yeah.
a road. That's my easiest definition.
That's right. Everything between a house and the
Yeah.
civil.
That's right.
Infrastructure. That kind of explains, how you guys are engaged with the youth and apprenticeship and the trades hall. But I know you guys are, you're kind of a facilitator for so many different, like you mentioned, contractors, government, provincial, and federal. Maybe just give us some examples of how you're working with contractors, and how is it that you're helping the contractors, whether it be general contractors, subcontractors.
Yeah,
in the province.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So a couple. I'll start with the big picture right now. A few years back, the concern of what's our future workforce going to look like has come up, and contractors worry about that day in and day out. And how are we as a province going to grow, and what's the forecast for work going to be? And so we got involved in a lot of those early conversations, and where we started to see where that vision down the road is going to be, how do we do a better job of integrating our communities into our sector? Our sector is very white and male. And we got into some early conversations around what is the trend going to be to being a more diverse sector, attracting people who we typically haven't had success attracting in the past, and changing the culture on job sites around the province. And in doing so, we did a lot of research as a council, which a big part of our mandate is to do research. So we do research on behalf of those contractors and the province and what have you. And in that research, we're looking into things called community benefit agreements and best value procurement, and what are the models that are delivering success around the world. And in doing so, we were able to kind of help the province get a sense of how to change diversity and community engagement in construction. So we started to go down that path, and the province very proactively last June put in some language into provincial tenders that says you will do a better job as a contractor, as a union, of being more diverse and reflecting the communities that you're there to serve. And in doing so, the contractor said, well, we're going to need help doing this. We're going to need help to access funding for training, which could be around becoming a better welcoming workplace, could be access for training around skills. It could be access for training for new products that are going to be built, because we haven't built a hospital in this province in forever.
Yeah.
And all the
We're building some now, though.
we are now. It's generational. It's exciting.
We've got QE2. We've got
Yeah.
the Bears Lake community outpatients.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Cape Breton.
Yeah, there's another facility getting some renovations down in the South Shore, and then the Cape
Yeah.
Breton has the 5 major projects. We're looking at, I'm trying to remember the exact number. There's about $1.05 billion being invested in Cape Breton, and we're looking at 2 to 2.5 billion on the mainland over the next 5 to 7 years, which is substantial amounts of money. And contractors have said to us, okay, if we're going to build hospitals that we haven't done in a while, and we're going to have requirements in the contracts to be more diverse and do things in a more open, transparent fashion, how do we do that? And if we're going to be required to fill out forms and submit claims back to the province or provide status updates, what does that look like? And so we've put people in place both in Cape Breton and on the mainland here to help contractors know how to fill out that form and how to engage a community member if they don't know how to reach out to the Indigenous population, or they're not sure who the African Nova Scotian leaders might be. We can help navigate that for them.
Right.
And we're just a connector. We're not intending to be a gatekeeper to anybody, but it's how do we make that connection so that life's a little
People
bit
can
easier.
reach out to you about almost anything.
Oh, pretty much. That's why I've gone to the help desk, right?
The help desk.
That's the help desk.
It's funny because when you came in, and I, obviously just in prep for, you're gracious of your time and coming on, just to kind of get my head more into NSCSC. And of course, I've heard of it, but I kind of felt a bit ignorant, just not knowing exactly what it is that you do. It's because you do so many different things and you're a facilitator of so many things. When you said help desk, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It really is the best way to describe it.
It's taken you 16 years to get to here to be able to say, I work for
Two
the help
words.
desk for construction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simplicity.
That's what we're trying to do. We get funding from the provincial government, we get funding from the federal government, we get contributions from industry. We are asked to help, and so in any way that we can, that aligns both provincial priorities and industry priorities. That's where we live.
How many full-time employees work with you there?
When I started, we had 3. We had 5 a few years back. We grew up to 7. I'm going to have 20 by the end of the summer.
Wow.
And it's just from a variety of projects that we're able to access and funding both provincially and federally. And again, with the lens of how do we strengthen this industry to be more like our communities here in the province.
Yeah. And so for your board of directors and your kind of internal members, that would consist of like subcontractors, general contractors. Yep. What else?
Subs, generals, the trade contractors. Then we also have union reps. So there can be a union rep or business manager from various unions. We have some who are there who participate either at the board level or at the committee level from a training provider. So if they're private career colleges or we have committees that have the community college involved. Yeah. We have partnerships with community, different communities get involved with us depending on the projects. If we're doing research, reaching out to who the whole suite of individuals might be, which could include open shop and unionized sector and everybody else. And at the end of the day, it's how do we help clarify where the forecast of work is going to be, but how do we help you get there?
Right. And so, you're getting perspective from all the different angles, all the different perspectives in the industry. So you talk a lot about looking ahead, the vision, where's the industry headed, technology, diversification, where's the money being spent, where's the federal money coming from, what about the private sector? So how often is there a board meeting that happens every quarter, once a year, where everybody kind of gets together from all these different angles, whether it be your board of directors with generals and subs and yourself and unions, and you guys meet often, or?
We have our board gets together every 2 months, and then we have an annual general meeting every year, usually in September in the fall, and we open that up for invitation to other parties to come and join us. And then a lot of it is just creating committees or reaching out to individuals who we think might be interested in a certain topic. So if it's around procurement, how does the procurement language need to change? What is best value procurement, or where is it going to go? Another hot topic for us right now is contractor licensing. Where is that going to go? How do we implement contractor licensing in the province? And do we start with a trade? Do we start with a level of a contractor? So we're looking into what the best practices for that sort of stuff is.
And you mean the employer or the employee to have a licensed electrician or a licensed? Right.
So the electrician, they're already mandated because they're a compulsory certified trade to either be an apprentice or a registered journey person to be able to do their work. But a contractor who hires electricians to then be able to do that work, is there a regulatory process around that? And currently there isn't.
Right. And not all. Do all trades have that, or is it just like most do? Because it's glazing or electrical, or you have to be a certified.
Not as many as you think.
Yeah,
that's the part.
That's why I'm asking.
So it's amazing. There's not.
If you want to start a masonry a contracting company or a commercial drywall supply and install. You don't have to go get a license.
You don't have to. No, there's no.
But
licensing.
some you do.
No, well, technically, there's no licensing for the contractor in the province.
Yeah.
But for the individual, you have to be registered as an apprentice or a journey person or certified as a journey person to be able to perform the work. So, say, for example, you decide you want to be a masonry contractor tomorrow. There's nothing you have to do other than register at the Registry of Joint Stocks right now.
Sure.
And then hire, if you're going to hire bricklayers, you have to hire either registered apprentices and a certified journey person and ensure that they're working in the ratio as approved by the province, which is currently 1-to-1. Now, if you become a unionized contractor, you might have different requirements under that collective agreement. But other than that, to be the contractor, just nothing else. To say that you know the product that you're selling or what have you, and if there's any sort of public safety or risk to that, there's no mechanism in place currently. Electrical, for example, I could be the employer of multiple electricians who I dispatch those workers to do different projects, but there's no regulatory framework around me as the employer. There is around the worker, but not around me as the employer.
Okay, that's really interesting.
And so we're looking at how could that change? How should it change?
Well, is that going to eliminate trades out there that are maybe not as prepared to take on certain jobs where there's problems a year down the road because maybe they aren't as set up as maybe one might think? Is that the idea? Is that the purpose of going down that road?
No, it's to strengthen and protect the customer. I think in a lot of ways, it's to ensure that the workers know what's expected of them and how to perform that work safely. We all make the assumption that when we go to a lawyer or to a doctor or to whatever else, that they're qualified to do that work.
They know what they're doing.
Everybody thinks that about us too.
It's the white lab coat. What's that experiment thing? What's that? The Milgram experiment or something? There's a movie about it. Well, he's just wearing a white lab coat, so he must be the
doctor.
He's the authority figure.
Yeah, absolutely. But you think about it. Even as a homeowner, we all make natural assumptions that the person coming to service our hot water tank, or do our plumbing, or do our electrical work is qualified to do that. It's very, as we hope to educate the public to say, make sure you ask to see that card. Make sure you ask to see that they are a registered, certified person to do that work. So there's some assumption in that. And I think that's the part around the public safety that if the public's not aware enough to ask those questions, or the client is not aware enough to ask those questions, how do we make sure that there's a system in place so that the contractor bidding that work and dispatching or deploying those employees is doing the right thing for that customer?
Right.
And these are things that I think we've got a lot of work to do. We as an industry, we have a lot of work to do in this because there are really great contractors out there who do the right thing. They hire an apprentice, they put them with a certified journey person, they plan out what their career trajectory is going to look like. They really make sure that the customer gets the right value and the quality at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And then there are some contractors out there who don't do that. And that the person who loses out the most is the client. And if they're a homeowner, and I've had enough horror stories and phone calls to say, I hired electrical company X, and they told me I wasn't paying them enough, so they sent only apprentices. And I'm thinking, well, first of all, you can't do that. That's against the whole apprenticeship system. It's against the act. You need to be dispatching somebody who's qualified to do that work.
The more I hear you talk, the more I feel like NSCSC is kind of like you're right in the undercurrent of everything that's happening in front of our eyes, but like you guys are the undercurrent of like all the things that maybe people aren't thinking about every day.
Well, I think we try to have our finger on the pulse, but there's partnerships. Nobody does anything successfully in isolation, and we have a great relationship with the apprenticeship agency, with the Nova Scotia Construction Labour Relations Association, with the building trades, with CANS, with Merit, with various levels of government, with the community college, with the private career colleges. All of those groups get together regularly.
So you're connected with NSCC?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have to be, because if we know where there's going to be a demand in the future, we need the college to be able to help develop strategies as well to meet that need.
Are you guys involved with the curriculum or how they form some of the training for the different courses and stuff as well?
We've sat on program advisory committees. They don't have quite the same structure anymore, but program advisory committees, we're involved. I'm on the apprenticeship board of directors to be able to help make that connection from industry to what's happening in the apprenticeship system, and then the college is there as well to make sure that there's the alignment. And at the end of the day, the employer, if they have a need, they have to know how to get that through the process.
Okay.
And so it might simply be a phone call, an email, an inquiry, and it may bring all of those parties together to discuss a topic that cross-cuts for everybody.
I'm trying to think of just a general example. If I was a contractor, let's say, and I'm a unionized contractor, and I know I'm bidding on a project that has 2 unionized contractors, and I know there's 3 non-union bidding it, and I might want to apply for a target. Is that something that NSCSC would could they reach out to you about that? I mean, you guys are involved in everything, it seems.
If they reach out to me, I would direct them to somebody else.
Directly
That's
to the
not,
union.
we're not in the, we don't, in terms of the day in and day out business and targets and bidding and all that, we stay out of that. We, you know, if a contractor
but
needs
again, you point them in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if a contractor needs education, or they're saying,
About
you know
what a target is.
Yeah, what a target
is.
is.
Some don't know what that is.
Absolutely.
So you could help
We
them
can
with
help them
that
with
part.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're
call the help desk.
Call the help desk. We're kind of Switzerland. We're here to help.
But you guys help in a lot of other ways as well, right? I mean, are you guys involved in any funding programs for startup subcontractors? Or I think you guys do some you do like a marketing package for websites and things like that. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. So we have a member services piece, and so those members who make contributions to the organization have access to that sort of support and service. So they can make, you know, our division might make you business cards and websites and brochures and what have you. But any contractor can call us and say, you know what, I'm looking for training. I understand there's this training program out there. How do I apply for that? We'll help you navigate that. If there's a situation of going, well, geez, you know, what programs exist? I get that question all the time. What programs exist? And depending on the time of the year.
There's a ton of programs out there
depending
for
on the government,
anything you're thinking of.
Oh, yeah, there's programming available. And the province, you know, the province is more accessible to anybody than I think ever before. At least that's been my experience. It's easier to find individuals to help. It's easier to find programming to support what you're
So
trying
you guys
to
are
do.
linking them with like a COA and whoever else.
Yeah, whoever else.
Yeah.
COA has wonderful programs. The province has programs. The federal government has programs. And you know, it's to strengthen the sector. How do we strengthen that sector, and how do we change how the sector functions to be more welcoming, more diverse, to be more active and thriving, and make sure people are getting paid well, and there's benefits and safety, and all those sorts of things are fundamental values, I think, for the sector.
Yeah.
Go to work, get a good pay, do it safely, you know, learn as you're doing it, and then go home at the end of the day and be able to have a good life.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty awesome to me, really.
Yeah, it sounds like the goal, really. I mean, that's what we're all after.
We should all be aspiring for that.
Yeah. Today's Friday, and you said before we started, you said like Fridays always consist of me. I got to wrap this up and get this. And you're talking about the different parties that you're doing. Maybe can you run us through that? I think it will be a good little snapshot of like what it's like being the executive director at NSCSC.
What a day in the life of Trent, right?
There you
go. I try to get there a little bit before the rest of the staff get there. I sit down, I do my quick email check. And then guaranteed, and my days are planned by a half hour in my calendar. Yeah. Everything's planned for the whole day. I sit down.
Thank God for an assistant, right?
Oh my goodness. I've only recently got an executive assistant. It's been amazing. And the first half hour, whether they come in and chat with me, or another staff member says, hey, did you see this on the news last night? Or I got a text from somebody, or my phone rings. The whole day could change in that first 15 minutes to say, hey, we've got a question or an issue happening up in Cape Breton.
Sure.
We're not sure how to, find training for individuals who need to go to work today. What do we do? Okay, well, where are we going, and who do we get engaged with?
So does that mean like tell them how to get their women's online, or
it could be
whatever else?
It could be. Today, really, it was. I got into the office this morning, and I had a couple of phone calls lined up around recruitment, because we have these positions to fill. So I've got positions to fill, and it was around recruitment. I got off the phone, and sure enough, another phone rang and said, oh, hey, we've got some claims that are due before you go on vacation. We got to get the claims completed, and so every activity that we get funded, we have to report what we've done, how the money has been spent, and everything else like that.
So is that to your board of directors, or to the government?
Could be to all of them.
Could be all.
So today was the federal government. Right. So today was a report back to the federal government.
Just a little paperwork.
Just a little bit of paperwork. And, you're checking your budget, and you're looking at your schedule and your Gantt charts, because I still love Gantt charts. So we get the Gantt charts out. And
I love the visuals.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're right here. We're on target. We're not on target. And then easily it could be, so again today, COVID. We're not through the pandemic. Can I, as an employer, request that everybody accessing my job site has to be tested? This is a great debate. It's been
That's a great example, because I'm just thinking of like 100 other questions that people are thinking as business owners.
Yep. Who do I call for that?
How do I know?
Yeah, and
It's like
so
nobody really knows.
no, well, and the province is doing the best they can, and I really got to give credit where credit's due. Our province has done better than a lot of others, and we've been proactive.
I think that goes
and
for all four
responsive.
provinces.
Oh, Atlantic Canada has been amazing in this response.
I mean, and we're in the construction industry, so we're always going to, talk proudly about that. But I think it goes for every industry.
The healthcare workers, the retail, it's
Atlantic Canada is kind of like has a light on the rest of the country, like how things went and people responded.
And I moved here, so I'm a CFA or come from Wales. I've been informed. But
where
from Alberta.
Okay, right.
And
So you grew up there.
Yeah, I grew up there, and so I choose to live here because this is a half province in a lot of ways. This is the place to be, and I think it's only going to keep going in that direction. I've never been as excited for this province as I am in recent weeks, months, in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
and the pandemic has been extremely hard. The province has done a great job of helping us navigate through that. And now that we're kind of hoping to be on that tail end of it and get back to some normalcy, there's some real questions that people are struggling with.
When are things going to lift? When's this rule? When does this rule not apply anymore?
Yeah, can I test? Can I not test? Can I require vaccines? Do I not have to require vaccines?
And everybody has a different perspective.
Absolutely.
So some people will want to do these, continue to do these things, while others will be ready to really not do that anymore.
We have contractors, questioning what they can do and can't do, and then if they call the office and they say, "Trent, what do I do?" I won't pretend to have the answers, but I'll know hopefully who to direct the person to get a good answer.
Yeah.
If it's through occupational health and safety, call so and so. If it's through the Construction Safety Association or Construction Services Nova Scotia, talk to these folks. If it's a matter of talking to legal counsel, here's some avenues you can go down. And how is this going to keep changing? Nobody knows, but everybody's come together, and there are coalitions formed within the industry to help deal with COVID. Coalitions to help deal with legislation. Mm-hmm. There are coalitions to help deal with workforce development. Like the industry is really pulled together in ways that I've never seen before. Mm-hmm. In my role to address some pretty large issues, to try to get us to a positive place at the end of the day. And Friday. That's kind of how it went. Yeah. And it was like I got to go find partner.
And you're on vacation.
Well, I'll tell you, at the end of the day, I'm going to take a couple of weeks off. And it's an exciting time. It's a humbling time. It's very promising for what's available in this province, and I hope that as a province, as our respective communities, we come out of this stronger together with a clearer vision of where things can go. And this province really does have, the whole region has the opportunity to be second to none in this country, and I really believe that.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, if I was a contractor, I'd be reaching out to you guys all the time. So if I'm a contractor and I have questions about anything they might have heard now or what we might talk about in the next few minutes, they can find you online, www.nscsc.ca.
Yep.
And then who do they ask for, depending on what the issue is? It just...
Depending on what the issue is, we're going through some growth, so there'll be different people getting identified as key contacts for certain topics. But they're welcome to get a hold of me or send me an email, and I'll try to direct them to if it's the appropriate staff, or maybe it's the appropriate provincial department, or it's the appropriate training provider, or what have you.
Yeah, get back from vacation, your mailbox will be full, and the phone will just be ringing off the hook.
Yeah, it sounds like Friday.
It sounds like a Friday. Tell us. I was at now I can't remember if this was a Cairns event or where I was, but it was at the pier, and I'm thinking you guys had a booth set up, and we talked about it a little bit earlier before we went on the air. The Cairns Tech event. Yeah. Thank you. And tell us about that augmented reality.
Sure.
You guys put that together.
Yeah.
It kind of simulates being up on an I-beam, being tied off, and...
Yeah, we've got a couple of mobile units that we're very proud of, and they both built off the success of the Trades Exhibition Hall. Really, we wanted to go, how do we take the Trades Exhibition Hall on the road, and so that's how the mobile construction experience was built. And then from there, how do we take an experience like being an iron worker and walking an I-beam at heights? How do we take that into as real of an environment as possible? So we created our augmented reality experience there, our ARE, which is a small trailer donated to us by one of the contractors. And we green screened the entire inside of this trailer in Disney green. There's a color called Disney green for you to be able to green screen anything you want. Disney green. And in doing so, we reached out to a local AR/VR studio to kind of explore some ideas. And I remember having the meeting with the gentleman and saying, I would love to simulate working at heights. And if we could simulate something like an I-beam, that would be amazing. And so we did. We reached out to one of the contractors, and we got just a real thin cutout of an I-beam. It's just so your foot feels the edge of this I-beam.
Right.
We Velcroed it to the base of this trailer.
So this is an actual I-beam.
Yeah, it's an actual. It feels like it under your feet.
5 foot section.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a 9 foot length, and it's 6 inches wide. And they fabbed it for us, and we stuck it in the base of the trailer. So you don't, if you roll your ankle, you're not going far. You're going about an eighth of an inch. Yeah. And then we green screen the trailer. We put some sensors up. We put this headset on in a backpack, and when that turns on, it's got pass through cameras. So your hands are your hands, your feet are your feet. The color of your pants are your pants, but you are now 200 feet up in the air on an I-beam, looking
crazy.
down, watching the traffic. You hear the sounds of the birds. You hear the sounds of the community around you.
It's like an amusement park
It
ride.
kind of is. And you walk across this I-beam for 9 feet. You have to bend over and pick up a bucket of bolts. And then you have to turn around on the I-beam and walk back. And I think we may have to do some adjustments to this because people do look for that lanyard. They look for that harness to hold on to, and it has thrown a couple people off. And the only other thing I want to explore putting in this trailer to make it a little more realistic is I'd like to put a fan in the trailer. And so you feel the wind blowing as you do it as well. So that's sort of one of our next things to put in there. So you turn it on, you go for a walk, you come back around. And when we built this unit that we launched, it was 2018 or 2019. We launched this trailer, and we had to have ironworkers test it out for us. So we happened to have the right timing to have these ironworkers come in and try out this I-beam, and they lined up. And every one of them came out of that trailer going, "That's as real as the real thing." One even said it's scarier because I reached for my lanyard, it wasn't there, and I fell over a little bit. But yeah, it's how do we make construction interesting?
Yeah.
Because there's a perception out there that everyone in the room knows. There's the perception of construction being low skilled, low paid, grunt work, dirty work. Yeah. We've heard all those phrases, and as a council, we're trying to change that perception. We really want to change how we see construction, and technology is a piece of that. We have contractors who are investing in exoskeletons now. We have contractors who are investing in BIM, building information modeling, and 4D modeling, and immersive experiences so you can see inside a building before it's actually built, and laser
what else
creation.
are you seeing for tech? Well, you mentioned exoskeleton. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're trying to get a couple in from California. There's a startup in California that I've reached out to, and I want to get 3 because they come in different sizes. I didn't know this, but they come in different sizes. And you put them on like a backpack. You have a strap that goes around each arm and your waist. And the exoskeleton, because of its pivoting points and its steel components, I'm trying to remember. It adds about 20 pounds to your structure, but it reduces the lifting by about 40%. So if you're getting ready to lift a panel, drywall, plywood, a pipe, whatever the case may be, you can lift that 40% difference that you couldn't before without the unit, and safely.
You're going to let people work 10 years longer in the trades.
That's the hope. Well,
contractors like to hear that. Keep their good guys a little longer.
So we're investigating some of that. We've investigated wearable technology, so having a computer in your forearm. We've got a couple of units in the office that we tried out to see if we could have foremen and supervisors able to access, spec sheets or any of the forms that they need to fill out, and they could do it in real time. Now, the cell phone has alleviated a lot of that. So the wearable tech is a little bit old. But we investigated for about 2.5 years, 3 years, any technology that had an industry application, we were able to get funding through the government to try it out. And so we took tablets all around Atlantic Canada onto job sites, into mines, at heights.
Now they're everywhere.
Yeah. And I don't think one caused the other. I don't ever want to pretend that. But we were able to help bridge a gap around openness to technology in construction. I don't think there was a lot of appetite
There's a lot
for
more
it.
now.
Absolutely. And people are open to it. And so now we're kind of going, what's around the corner for an exoskeleton, or what's around the corner for remote vehicles that maybe do a remote install. And we're trying to use VR and AR in ways that we've never done before. We just got in the last 2 weeks into our office a virtual reality simulator for blasting. A contractor reached out to us and said
to train people
how to do blasting.
Wow, and we see so much of that here in Nova Scotia with the bedrock.
Oh yeah,
just the different areas.
Well, this would be paint blasting, so sandblasting and doing.
I thought you were talking about blasting for foundation. I was thinking, was thinking, geez,
That'd
that
be a cool
sounds
simulator
really
too,
cool.
though. We might have to look into that.
Yeah, I guess I'm
But,
thinking blasting because I'm driving down where I live in Halifax here. There's always
there's always the blasting piece.
blasting going on.
You know what? Maybe there's a business model there for a blasting
Let's talk
unit.
about that
Yeah,
later.
let's go for that.
No, but see, you meant
yeah.
blasting as in painting.
Yeah,
and spray.
and contractor said, I can't afford to train and simulate a real life experience to the degree I want.
Yeah.
Can you guys help us out? Call the help desk. They called us. We looked around North America to see what was available, and we ended up being able to order in these 2 simulators that are used for training now throughout North America to do just that.
Yeah.
And there's no material wasted, but it will monitor how much time you spend, your coverage area, the amount of material you use, all that sort of stuff gets calculated, and it says back to that contractor, to that worker, to that trainer,
Right.
where do I need to work on to be better?
Thinking of another like raw example. I'm thinking of Scott and Colin Keeping. I talked to them maybe in the last month about looking at the painter and glazer and painting union, and talking with Nova Scotia Apprenticeship about creating a pathway for
glazers.
painters, so that there's actually a red seal designation. And so they would have to reach out to either NSCC to do the training there, do it at the union hall. Would you guys be involved in that process a little bit sometimes
We
with
would
creating
help.
pathways?
Yeah, we'd help. We'd help in getting things structured. We wouldn't do the training directly. That's not our
Yeah.
space. But you know, if there's applications,
But you might
and
offer
forms,
warehouse space to do
yeah.
training or whatnot.
the industry has access to our space. If you know, we've had again pre-COVID times.
Because there's people out there that are especially contractors that are rallying together. They want a pathway. They want to be able to get funding from the government for actual journeyman journeys to becoming a red seal, and they're really interested in getting those things figured out. And it's not easy, and it has to be done through either the union, somewhere where they can actually train them and do it, under the right protocol.
Private college and have it sanctioned by the apprenticeship agency
Yeah.
and everything else. And it seems very daunting, and I get it. Our contractors, they don't want to do the paperwork, and they go,
Well, they need someone like you guys
somebody.
to steer them in the right direction along that journey, because it's
Well, and government can seem daunting. You're a private business owner who does what you do exceptionally well.
Yeah.
But you've always thought, for the betterment of the industry, something needs to change.
Yeah.
They can call the agency directly, and the agency has staff to be able to help somebody do that.
Sure.
But that can be daunting. I've had contractors say it's
can.
daunting for me to call the 1-800 number.
Yeah.
I can call Trent at the sector council or Kim at the sector council or whoever.
And
at
you
the
guys
sector
bridge the
council,
gap.
and you guys will help me out.
Yeah, and you're right, because government, just because of what it is systematic. This is the way it is, and it has to be.
Yeah.
And then it's obviously the opposite a lot of times with the smaller contractors and people in the industry that in any regard. But it can be daunting, but they're missing out on things like graduate opportunity programs and apprenticeship funding from Nova Scotia Apprenticeship. And all kinds of START programs.
Oh, training
and it's
programs.
there.
There's training
it's there.
available, yeah.
It's just that, maybe it's a stereotype. Maybe it's a kind of a mental boundary there where they can't kind of get over the hurdle to say, well, this isn't actually that hard. We just need someone to kind of.
Could be just time.
Yeah.
As a contractor, you wake up first thing in the morning, you're getting the site ready, you're getting your crews ready to go, you're doing your toolbox talks, you're
that's a
all your
lot
documents.
to do with it.
The last thing I want to do
Big
as
time.
a contractor is go home at the end of the day before the hockey game and sit here trying to navigate a website, trying to figure out who to do that.
Yeah.
And so we really said, pick up the phone, call us, let us know what you're looking for, and then it might just be the phone number of somebody to talk to. That might be as simple as it is.
But they should, because a lot of times they will think of it. It is there, they know it. But you're right, it's time. And you know what? You're in the industry, you're busy. So something that you're thinking about, I should do that. But you might think that for like a year or two and not actually do it, because you get busy.
It's daunting.
But a call to you guys and a point in the right direction and the right, an email and then at least the ball's rolling, right?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. It might be a phone call. It might be an email. At the end of the day, whatever we can do to make life a little bit easier for the contractor, whatever we can do to make life a little bit easier for the worker in the industry and for somebody looking to get into the industry, understand the industry, that's where we spend most of our time. And I have all the respect in the world for everybody who goes to work every morning, everybody who takes the passion and the ambition to have their own company and run their own organization. I get it. Like that, they have invested their lives in what they do. And as a contractor, there's lots who have put, houses on the line or cars on the line or their future self on the line to have a business that they are very proud of that's theirs. Any help they can get, any help that they can access, any help they need, that's what we want to be able to be for them.
Can you talk a little bit about QMP? I've seen that on your website. Is that something at the forefront, or is that it's basically you're helping with quality management within businesses and not necessarily them following a big strategic plan, but just how to make things, maybe a way to make things a little more quality controlled?
We have a couple of training programs that focus on quality and the things to put in place, especially as you're doing larger infrastructure projects and the expectation of a client around quality assurance and quality management. We have some training programs that are helping to provide a little bit of education. By no means does it make anybody certified to be a quality inspector or have a quality plan put in place. But it gives that underpinning of what it is, what should I be mindful of, where is future training, where do I see that, and really, if I'm going to pursue some quality management, what do I need to keep in mind? What's the impact on my business? How far does it go?
Quality control is a huge thing for business owners in this industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and very hard to manage too.
How far do you take it?
How do I start? How do I even start?
Yeah.
Where do I start? Yeah.
And so we help navigate what the training opportunities are for that. Again, our training programs sort of lightly touch on it from a foreman supervisory level, that front level supervisor. We touch on it there. But for a contractor to implement that, we have connections in the industry where somebody could come in and develop that plan. They could develop that management system. They could be the ones that maybe structure your inspection and test plans in a certain way that you're able to then report. And it could come back to the request from the client. If the government's requesting this, well, what do I need to know? Yeah. Who needs to be trained to do what? We can, kind of help navigate some of that for you. But at the end of the day, we won't do it for you. We'll help get you to that stage where then it's part of business. Yeah.
And for government relations, are you guys involved in any regard or any capacity with public tenders and how they're communicated to
I'd say a very little bit. A government official not too long ago said that their vision or view of what the sector council is, and there's 14 sector councils in the province. For different sectors. So we're not only the only one. Right. There's 14. We just happen to be ICI Construction. But yeah, back to that. The province has said they view sector councils as having 1 foot in government, 1 foot in industry.
Sure.
And if we're able to bridge the connection,
fence riders,
kind of maybe that's the easiest way. If industry expresses an issue with tendering or procurement process or what have you, and it's not a lobbying activity, it's more about how do we influence and show a business case for a different way of tendering, we can facilitate that. Maybe whether it be a connection or whether it be some research that we can put into that. And similarly, the province does that to us. They reach out to us and say, we're wondering how we can strengthen this process or this procedure. What should we be looking at? Who should we talk to? And maybe we're just a facilitator in getting those two groups together.
What about university campuses at all? Or?
Oh, a little bit. It kind of feels like a little bit of everything. There's nothing really off the table.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
We're a hub, right? We're again, 16 years to come to the help desk, and same 16 years to be referenced as having.
It's the only way you can describe it without talking to someone for a whole day.
We used to.
We're the help desk.
My wife and I used to go to parties, and she's like, "Yeah, nobody understood what you said. Sorry, sorry, dear. We got to come up with something sexier. All right, that's good. It is." But really, if it's a procurement process, if there's research around there, if there's a business case to change legislation or a business case to change regulation, if there's something in that space that a contractor and the industry in general feels is important, we can help out with that. Yeah. If it's around trying to change, or lobby or influence, that's not really our space. We try not to get in that. That's CANS excels at that stuff. The CLRA excels at that stuff. Merit Contractors Association of Nova Scotia, they excel at that stuff. We're there to help, to sort of help.
And you guys have a board of directors, and all your members are, like we said before, just from all different capacities within the industry. So you kind of have like a real guided vehicle there on any issue that comes up. So
and try to navigate it for the betterment of the province. That's at the end of the day. How do we make this province where people want to work, want to invest, And when they build here, and when we do things like the infrastructure projects that are coming down the pipe, we do it well. That's really at the end of the day. Then I can go to sleep at the end of the day. Go, you know what? We're on the right path.
Then you can play more guitar in the evenings, right? You're a bit of a musician yourself.
I noodle it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about that before. What's your favorite genre?
I probably given away by length of my hair. It probably is more in the rock space. Although I've got a 4-year-old right now who's just getting ready to turn 5, and he is into metal like I've never been into metal.
Yeah, Metallica,
and, Slipknot, and
hardcore,
like hard stuff. I mean, he sings it to me now at nighttime. I'm thinking, how did you hear this? Clearly, it must have come up on my iPhone or something at some point in time. But he loves it, and he sings about Transformers, and he sings. And so
that's great. I don't know how you find the time to get some music in while you're executive director at the NSCSC, but I hope you get to get the release like we were saying.
It's wonderful. I love what's happening at work. I love what's happening in my personal life, and where things are kind of
good balance.
It's a great balance, and I think to an earlier comment or an earlier perspective, Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canada provides the space for that. To share an example, when I was working out west and when I was going to projects, you'd be an hour to an hour and a half getting to work. You'd be there then for your 9 or 10 hour shift, and then you're an hour or more getting home.
Sure.
And the city never slept. The communities never slept. You were always going. And one of the things that Atlantic Canada does really well is that ability to transition from work version of you to relaxed version of you, to recreational version of you, to whatever it might be. I really understand why it says Atlantic Playground on the back of our license plate. It does provide us with a lifestyle that I think is very unique to the region.
Yeah, that's great, Trent. Any final things you want to chat about NSCSC? Anything we missed, or anything that's kind of current or on your mind that you want to get out there? It's been great chatting with you.
Same here.
Very interesting. I think, and we talked about this before. We plan to do an episode just how, maybe it just bring to light more of what you guys do there, and it's so important. And I don't think enough people understand. But obviously, it's because of the nature of how many different things are going on. It's calling it the help desk is an easy way to do that, but it's great to have a chat and sort of push it out there to get people to become more aware of all the different things that go on.
No, I appreciate it. I've had a lot of fun and enjoyed talking about this. I look forward to being able to do it again with you and kind of getting a sense of what that is. And to any of the contractors, being private business owners, I can understand they might be skeptical. What do you mean I call you and you're going to help me out and I don't have to pay you anything?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right.
That's, I think, and it's important to be a bit skeptical anyway.
Absolutely.
But you're right. You're right. It doesn't,
People go,
nothing's
the
free.
Sector Council is going to help me for free. Well, the province has contributed money to our organization.
Yeah.
The federal government does as well. And we're there to provide some support. So it's being covered. It just might not have to come out of your pocket.
Yeah.
Now you want to do something, outside of the purview, we'll figure out a way to do it. We had a contractor call us up not too long ago saying, can I do a custom board for all my forms in a job site trailer? Who would build that? So we built one of those in our office.
Yeah.
Now, we'd have to charge you a cost recovery for the materials and everything else that goes into that, but that was it. And they're going, wow, cool. Yes, let's help this industry go forward.
Anything that comes up. It's like you guys are going to help with anything that comes up.
We'll try.
Well,
I
hope that this helps to get more people engaged that can benefit and get some much needed help with whatever they might be dealing with, whether they're contractors or they're youth and interested in the trades or people wanting to experience the trade hall. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
the
trades exhibition
trades
hall,
exhibition hall, and all the other things that you guys are doing, connecting government and unions and all that kind of stuff. So that's great.
Awesome.
Thanks for doing this, man.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Atlantic Construction Podcast. Be sure to follow us on any podcast platform you use. You can also find us on LinkedIn and Instagram at Atlantic Construction Podcast. Be sure to send us a comment or a review. We'd love to engage with you.